Good day guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going through my round 10 AFL tips. I think this is week 1 of 2 out of the Indigenous round, so credit to all the Indigenous players playing AFL, and let's get into the tips. I didn't do that good this week. Now, last week we had some cracking games, and it started off on Thursday night with 1-point winners going the way of the Blues. I went with Melbourne. I thought coming into this game they were probably the better team on paper and on form. Carlton ended up winning by 1. They deserved it. I think they kicked 6 goals straight to 0 in the first quarter. I think it was 5 goals to 0. But they did the work early, and in the end it just paid off. But bit nervous if you're in the Carlton fan, but they definitely deserved the win. It was really a 50-50 game in the end, but got it done early. Then Friday, I started off 0-5. I don't know. I got all the last ones correct, but I went with the Cats by 45. Port Adelaide won by 6, and Port Adelaide were actually leading by 49. Wow, I was watching the end of this, the last 2 quarters of this game, and wow, what a finish. You just could tell the Cats were going to come back, but unfortunately, like Melbourne, they left it too little too late. And credit to Port, they haven't won a GMHPA for 7 years, and since 2007, and Geelong are a very good team, so credit to them. Underestimate them there. Then I thought I'd go with Freo with the 14 upset point win. Swans actually won by 48. I thought maybe the upset win could go the way of the Dockers, but obviously credit to Cam McCarthy. He passed away, but credit to him. He's been a good player for Freo, and I don't know if that's what caused all the inaccurate kicking, but Freo, they just couldn't kick, unfortunately, and the Swans, they ended up winning big time. Then Saturday morning, I was not happy with this one. Hawthorn won by 5. I backed in the Saints. This was a game that we probably should have won. It was sort of probably, I'd say, 70% to us, 30% to Hawthorn. Hawthorn came off a good week, a good win over the Dogs the previous week, but we should have won this game. We were inaccurate, but the Hawks were too. They deserved to win, the Hawks. They fought so hard, and we're 3-6. We could still probably make finals, but I'm calling it season over. That's a game we needed to win, and if we had beat Freo next week and we just won this, we would have been well and truly for the 8th race. But disappointed. Hawthorn deserved the win. It was a low-scoring scrap. I can't remember the last time Hawthorn kept the side to 53 points. So credit to the Hawks. I went with the Giants by 12. Again, this was sort of a 50-50 game, but probably leaning more towards GWS. Essendon were amazing. They're making the 8. I said if they win this game, they're going to make the 8. They have North and Richmond. They'll surely go 8-2. Bombers, they're playing some awesome footy. Pretty easy tip here. This is where finally I got one right, and you're tipping against North Melbourne, you're likely to get it right. Went with the Suns by 20. They actually blew them out, won by 68, and then the Dogs, after a disappointing loss to the Hawks, they ended up coming out and absolutely killing Richmond, so credit to them. And again, this is, if the Dogs won against the Hawks last week, they probably would have been in the 8 with a good percentage. They just need to beat the Hawks. See, this is the thing about Luke Beveridge. They can easily thrash the good sides, the bottom side, and credit to the Dogs. Hopefully my Saints can absolutely thrash the Dockers since we lost to the Hawks. Come on, Saints. Bulldogs winning there easily. Then Sunday, I went with the Pies by 33, ended up winning by double that score, 66. They're always going to win this game. Probably not by that much. Eagles were a bit disappointing, but at the end of the day, they were playing the Premiers versus the Wooden Spooners. Then the draw, another draw this season. That's the, I think, second draw in 3 weeks. I went with the Crows by 23. It was actually a draw. So ESPN, I get my tip right, but I didn't have a good round. I think I ended up technically getting a score 4 out of 9. So I didn't do too well, but let's get into the tips. So to kick things off on Thursday night, we have another game at TIO. So the Suns are playing back-to-back games at TIO. I don't know if that's I don't know if they've played back-to-back games there before, but they play the Cats, and at TIO, the Suns have won their last 5 there, so I can't remember the last time they lost at TIO. It must have been a few years back. The Cats, they're a little bit out of form. Yes, they've been playing 2 good sides in Port Adelaide and Melbourne, but you can see the drop-offs a little bit. That first quarter for the Cats just wasn't one they wanted. Everything that could have gone their way, didn't, and yeah, they were just disappointing. They conceded 50 points. Always going to lose that game from quarter time, the Cats. And the Suns, very impressive, getting some percentage, 68-point win against North. Probably could have won that game by more in the end, but I'll take the Cats. I think that they probably will be looking to respond. Really, this game does set a lot up, because if the Cats lose this game, I honestly think the top four, they probably won't make. Probably they won't make. I think they're in very big danger of missing the top four after going 7-0. They don't want to let this game slip the Cats, because they'll be coming up against the red hot Suns, so I'll go with the Cats by 15. If the Suns win this, they also need this to stay alive in finals. They're 4-4, the Suns. I'm not quite sure, but I'll go with the Cats by 15 in that one. Then Friday night we have the Swans taking on the Blues again. Another good matchup here at the SCG. Sydney playing pretty good against Freo, and Carlton, they had an impressive 1-point win over Melbourne. Definitely one of the games of the year, but this one's going to be tough, because you see, even though Sydney are at home, they're sitting on top of the ladder. Carlton, we saw them do it to Brisbane at the Gabba, and Brisbane, even though they aren't the best side at the Gabba this year, still an impressive win. And even though that was back in an opening round, not even round one, opening round, which is stupid, by the way, yeah, it was still a good win. I will back in the Swans. We'll go with the Swans to get a close victory here. It should be pretty close. We'll go with the Swans to get a 10-point win. I think that they're just the better team at the moment, but yeah, Carlton should challenge them. But I'll go with the Swans. Then Saturday afternoon, we have Collingwood taking on the Crows in a match really where I think this is pretty 50-50. I know Collingwood are starting to look like they're finding form. They probably should make the top 8 from here. Sort of like Geelong. This is where they had their good moment, Geelong, but then they failed after. So we'll see what happens to the Pies in this match. But they're coming up against the Crows, who are a bit in form. They've have win, loss, win, and a draw. So pretty informed Crows here at the MCG. This should be a pretty good match, I think, to watch. I think that, for me, I don't know who to pick. I actually think that Adelaide could get the job, because the last 2 times they've played them, I think they lost by 2 points and then 1 point. So really, the Crows probably have been deserving of 2 wins. But for me, the Pies are just too informed at the moment. And I know if Adelaide win this, I do think that they will probably make the 8 with their form if they can continue it a couple weeks on. So I'm going to go with the Pies here I'll go with the Pies by 12. I think this should be a good game, but I think that Collingwood just are the better team at the end of the day, so I will tip them. And they're really in form. Then at Giants Stadium, we have the Giants taking on the Dogs. Again, there are some cracking matches in Indigenous round, week 1 of 2. I have to say, a couple rivalries, because this is one. It's the Giants taking on the Dogs. Obviously, I think these sides have played each other in finals like 3 or 2 times. So, yeah, this will be interesting, because the Giants, they won this fixture last year, and they also lost this fixture to the Dogs. So, it's pretty 50-50 coming into this game. The Giants probably a little bit out of form. The Dogs, they're not really in much form either. Yes, they had that very good, impressive win. Credit to them over Richmond. At the end of the day, it is only Richmond. I will back in the Giants, though. I think that the Dogs, I don't know if they've proven they can probably cause 1 or 2 upsets against the top 8 the teams, but I just don't know yet. I think that the Giants will need a big win here, because if they lose this, the Giants, I think that the Dogs will probably be looking to make the top 8, and the Giants probably are putting their risk at top 4, so they need to win this. I'll go with the Giants to win this comfortably. I'll go with the Giants by the 22 points. I think that they need to make a bit of a statement at Giants Stadium, so yeah, I think they'll bounce back and win. Then at the Gabba, we have the Lions taking on Richmond. Now, obviously, I won't be really watching this match since my Saints are playing at the same time. And, Richmond, they are looking too disappointing at the moment. Arguably the worst team in the comp, but I do think that they are probably the second worst. I still think they are better than North. And by the way, how did they beat Sydney? If they didn't beat Sydney, they would be sitting 0-9 right now, Richmond. 0-10, I think, even. So, I don't know. How did they bet Sydney? But remember, that was earlier on in the season. But yeah, how many losses now? 5 now in a row, and that loss was just too disappointing. I'm tipping Brisbane here to get the comfortable win. They should be way too strong. I'll tip Brisbane here comfortably. I go with a 37-point win. I do think that the Tigers will bounce back a bit, but the Lions, they should win. Richmond, they're just depleted with injuries. Now, I think Dion Prestia, I couldn't read who got injured. Someone did. So, yeah, that's a massive out, whoever got injured, because I heard it was someone pretty big. So, I'll go with the Lions by 37. Then the Marvel match between St Kilda and Fremantle. Again, another matchup where your things are pretty good. These two sides are pretty even. Freo obviously being the side just a bit better this season, but this is really a 50-50 game, to be honest, for my Saints. And yeah, we come up against a pretty good Freo side who were disappointing last week, but we do have to remember they were mentally, I don't know if they were mentally affected by Cam McCarthy. Obviously, Alex Pearce did play with him, so, you know, they were very inaccurate too, Freo. I feel like they probably didn't deserve to win the game, but they probably should have only made it a couple-goal game. I think they were definitely better than they played. St Kilda, they were just disappointing. They lost to Hawthorn, not much to say. Even though the Hawks are in a bit of form, we just should have won that game. I'm going to back in the Saints. I am. I know I may be being biased here. I know I may be biased since we lost to Hawthorn, but we need to win this. If we don't win this 3-7, it's over, and I'm calling it off. I'm not saying it's sort of season over. I'm not saying it's almost season over. It's season over. This is a do-or-die game for the Saints, and even if we win this, we probably won't make the 8. But I'll go with the Saints by 21. Again, I'll back us in by 21. I think last week I did that. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints by 21. I feel like we need to bounce back, but we can't underrate Fremantle. They're a very challenging side this season. Then, Sunday afternoon, we have North taking on Essendon at Marvel Stadium. So this one, coming into this, when you look at it, this should be an easy Bombers win. But for me, for some reason, the last 2 times these sides have played, it's actually been pretty even. Last year, obviously, Essendon, they won, but only just scraped over the line by 8 points against North. Now, obviously, North of Melbourne were much more competitive back then, but you know, they're still gonna. You know, I think they could still be competitive, but I will go with Essendon to get the win here. Sort of matters about the margin, really. I'll go with the Bombers by 43. I like that margin. I think they'll just be way too strong, but surely North will show a bit more signs like they did against St Kilda and make it a bit more competitive because they need to stop losing percentage North. Otherwise, I think now, you know, they are pretty much already the confirmed wooden spooners. But yeah, they just need to show some signs now. It's the only matter for North Melbourne, just improving little bits by bits. But yeah, Essendon by 43. Then at the Adelaide Oval, we have the Port Adelaide Power taking on the Hawthorn Hawks. Now, you'd think the Power coming into this game, but the Hawks have been in form, and even though it's at the Adelaide Oval, you can't underrate Hawthorn. They are that bogey side that just maybe can pull off that upset against a top 8 team. You just never know with the Hawks. You know, they're probably a bottom 4 side, but yeah, it's going to be difficult. I actually don't mind Hawthorn for the little upset tip, but it would be pretty weird to see Hawthorn win 3 games in a row. So I will go with the Power to get a win here. I think they'll be way too strong for the Hawks. And I go with the Power by 31. I think that Hawthorn should put up a bit of a fight, but Port just too strong in the end. Then we end off this round with at Optus Stadium with the Eagles taking on the D's. This one should be a pretty easy tip to the D's, but again, West Coast, they've been great competitors. Obviously, let's forget about yesterday, because they weren't that great. Obviously, they weren't that competitive, but I still think that they are still a competitive side, and they definitely have improved a bit. So I will go with Melbourne to get the win here. Not much to say here. They should still be too comfortable for West Coast, but I'll go with the D's by 35. I like that. I just think that Melbourne, they're playing better at the moment, and they should get this win here. So that does wrap off my tips. I went with the Cats by 15, Swans by 10, Pies by 12, Giants by 22, Lions by 37, Saints by 21. Come on, the Sainers. Let's get in there. Bombers by 43, Port by 31, and Melbourne by 35. So, yeah, a few cracking contests this week, and, yeah, hope it's a good round, and we'll see you in the next one.